Leon built a weapon that can only fire once. One shot, no backup, no second attempt, everything the Commandos have been doing since the drop has been building toward that one moment. The God Killer truck, the pearl, the fuel, all of it, pointing at a single delivery of a single weapon at the bottom of a sludge-filled mine. And Leon is not willing to fire it blind, because here's the thing about a one-shot weapon aimed at an ancient god. If it does not work, it is over. Not a setback, not back to the drawing board. Over. The infected zone keeps spreading, the Sludge God keeps building its army, and humanity loses its only real chance at stopping any of it. So before Leon fires the weapon at the actual Sludge God source point, he needs to know it worked. And the only way to know it works is to test it on something similar enough to matter. That is what Catch and Kill is. Not a supply run, not a retrieval mission, a field test. And the thing being tested is whether the plan that 4 mercenaries have been bleeding for across the entire infected zone actually has a chance. Let us talk about the Mutated Slob, because the creature the Commandos are hunting in this mission is not just a random infected target, it is specifically a slob, and specifically a mutated one, and Leon needs its genetic material and DNA for a very specific reason. We talked about the slob in the Homo Mortis video, the biggest, most resilient unit in the Sludge God's army, the one that absorbs everything you throw at it and keeps coming. The resource drain, the thing the game sends when it wants to ask whether you actually have what it takes. A regular slob is already a serious threat. A mutated slob is something more than that. The mutation puts it in a specific category that matters for Leon's analysis. Genetically, it is similar enough to the Sludge God source material to be a meaningful test subject, not the Sludge God itself, but close enough that if Leon's weapon works on this slob, he has reason to believe it will work on the source point. Think about what that means from a scientific perspective. Leon has been building a weapon to destroy an ancient entity, an entity that operates on a scale beyond human comprehension, an entity that has been sleeping beneath the earth since before civilization existed. He cannot just assume his weapon will work, he needs data. And the mutated slob is his data. There is a detail about this mission that most people miss entirely, because they are focused on setting up the trap. The slob is immune at the start of the encounter. The mutated slob cannot be killed by conventional weapons. Bullets do nothing, explosives do nothing. Everything the Commandos have is essentially useless against it, until the immunity is removed. The only way to remove that immunity is to run it through the traps the Commandos set up before the fight. Now think about what that immunity represents from a lore perspective. The Sludge God's corruption does not just make things stronger, it does not just create bigger, faster, more dangerous versions of infected humans. In some cases, it creates things that are fundamentally resistant to the methods humans use to fight back. The mutated slob's immunity is the infected zone telling you something about what the final fight is going to look like. If a mutated creature in the field has a layer of protection that conventional weapons cannot penetrate, what does that say about the Sludge God's source point itself? Leon's weapon bypasses that. His technology works at a level below conventional force. The EMP disrupts it. The weapon inside the God Killer truck is designed to destroy something that bullets cannot touch, but he needs to know that theory holds up against a real target. Hence the mutated slob, hence Catch and Kill. The trap truck is the mission-specific vehicle for this one. And unlike the God Killer truck, which was built by Leon for a single specific purpose, the trap truck feels more improvised, practical, the kind of thing you put together when you need to catch something dangerous and you're working with whatever the infected zone has available. The Commandos start with the vehicle, but it is not fully loaded. They need to find additional traps and attach them, fuel it up. Get it ready before moving toward the slob's location. There is something almost funny about this preparation phase when you sit with it. 4 infected mercenaries in a quarantine zone, loading a truck with traps to catch a mutated version of one of the most dangerous creatures the infected zone produces. This so that a billionaire who accidentally ended the world can run DNA analysis on it, to find out if his one-shot weapon might actually work. This is what humanity's last stand looks like in Toxic Commando, not a military operation with unlimited resources and a clear chain of command. 4 people with a trap truck and a plan that relies on a lot of things going right in sequence, very John Carpenter. Once the Commandos reach the slob's location, the setup matters more than the fighting. The traps have to be placed correctly, the zone has to be right, the slob has to be baited through the trap corridor to strip the immunity before it can be killed. If the setup is wrong, the slob just keeps walking, immune, absorbing everything. completely unaffected by anything the Commandos throw at it. And here's what makes this mission different from everything that came before it. The enemy is not the main challenge, the setup is the main challenge. Catch and kill is the infected zone asking whether the Commandos can think instead of just shoot, plan instead of just react. Because fighting the Sludge God at the source point is not going to be a straightforward firefight, it is going to require everything to go right, in the right sequence at the right time. Catch and kill is practice, the slob moves through the traps, the immunity strips, and now it is a slob fight. Which is still not easy, the slob in any form is the thing that outlasts you. High health area of effect attacks that force you to keep moving. Everything the infected zone sends alongside it while you're trying to stay focused on the main target. The Commandos kill it, they grab the sample, it drops loaded into the truck, and now comes the second part. The power plant, this is where it all comes together, where the sample from the mutated slob gets analyzed, where Leon finally finds out whether months of work inside a quarantine zone built something that can actually do what he needs it to do. The analyzer is blocked when they arrive, because nothing in the infected zone is ever just sitting there waiting to be used. Everything has layers between the Commandos and what they need. Corruption, obstacles, infrastructure falling apart from months of being inside the most hostile environment on the planet. They clear it, activate the two switches, and the defense phase begins, waves of Homo Mortis coming at the analyzer, while it processes the sample, the infected zone throwing everything it has at the one piece of equipment that can tell Leon whether everything he has been building works. The Commandos hold it, the bar fills, the analysis completes, and then Leon tells them what the results say. The weapon will work, not a guarantee. Nothing about fighting an ancient god comes with a guarantee, but the mutated slob's genetic material confirms that the weapon's mechanism is effective against the specific type of corruption it was designed to destroy. The plan holds. Think about what that moment means for 4 people who have been infected since the drop. Who have been fighting through the infected zone mission after mission, gathering pieces of a plan they were never fully briefed on. Who have been running on faith that Leon knew what he was building. He did, the weapon works, everything they have done mattered. Now, let us step back and look at why Leon insisted on this mission before the final push. He built a weapon that can only fire once. Most people in his position would either fire it and hope for the best, or spend so much time trying to verify it that they run out of time to use it. Leon does neither. He sends 4 people to catch a mutated creature in a field, extract its DNA, run analysis at a power plant in the middle of an infected zone, and use the results to calculate whether his calculations were right. That is the Obsidian Group's operating philosophy applied to the apocalypse he caused. Not faith, not hope. Evidence. Leon does not want to believe the weapon works, he wants to know it works. And if the analysis had come back wrong, if the results had shown that the weapon was not going to be enough, then the plan changes. Leon builds something better. The Commandos go back out, because that is who Leon Dorsey is. He does not gamble on outcomes he can test, he tests them first. Think about the full arc of what has happened across these missions. The drop got the Commandos into the infected zone and infected them. Church of the Damned found Gallagher and the fuel they could not yet reach. High Octane got the truck. Demon Bait got the pearl. The root of evil cleared the node and freed the fuel. Catch and kill confirmed the weapon will work. Every mission has been a piece, every location has added something. The infected zone has thrown everything it has at 4 people at every step, and they have kept going. 1 shot, 1 truck, 1 pearl, 1 fuel, 1 analysis, all of it, pointing at 1 mind, 1 moment. That is Catch and Kill, the mission that answered the most important question Leon had before the final push. Does the weapon work? Yes. Now the only question is whether 4 infected mercenaries can get it to where it needs to go and survive long enough for it to fire. Next map we are covering Impasse, the mission where the Commandos discover that getting to the drill mine is not as straightforward as just driving there. And what it means that the Sludge God has buried the entrance under something that cannot be cleared the usual way. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And drop a comment. Did you catch that the Mutated Slob's immunity is basically a preview of what the final fight looks like? Because Leon's whole reason for testing the weapon on it is that conventional force does not work on the most corrupted things in the infected zone. And the Sludge God's source point is the most corrupted thing in the infected zone. Tell me what you think.